Hey guys, how you doing? As you can see, I'm not in my room as usual today, and that's because we're actually here for an anime convention somewhere in this area, which I know what you guys might be thinking, right? Go on, you guys can say it now, right? Like, this place looks like insert country name here. It totally doesn't look like Japan at all. Yeah, I get that. Look, I'm in the middle of a very tiny port island in the middle of nowhere, looking for a anime convention that's supposed to be happening in the middle of Nagoya called Comic Live. So, okay, look, let me just prove to you guys that this is Japan real quick, alright? You see that over there? No, you can't really see it. So, if you see this video going up, it means that the event was both fine and I didn't die along the way back. So, yeah, here's hoping it's good. I'll see you guys when I get home. Cheers. This thing is barely being suspended by just that one pack of tea over there. It actually has a very high risk of falling, so I won't say it's the... Oh, fuck. Ah! That was close. That was very close. But yes, hey everyone, as you can see, I'm back from the event over in Nagoya. Don't worry, I actually did pay for my ticket, unlike a certain someone. I really wanted a reason to eventually go down for some of these as well. And it just so happens that because of something that was pointed out to me by a viewer on the channel about how a series that typically doesn't get much coverage in events was having a slot within this event outside of Tokyo, and so I decided to head down there to see what this event would be like. But yes, today the event we're talking about is Comic Live in Nagoya. Comic Live in Nagoya. It feels like it's a little late for me to be saying this now, but if you didn't know what Doujin refers to, here you go. I feel like I'm doing this every other video, but yeah, you can just read this while I go on. If you really want to see me give a very horrible, auditory explanation of it, you can go back and look at my way in the past event videos. You can see me stumble over my words trying to do it there. So usually with these videos, I try to give you guys a history of the event, going back as far as I can and explaining where it started, where it is now, how many people attend and all that. But for this specific event, it's kind of a little bit more difficult for me to do that. And this is due to the fact that information isn't as out there due to the fact that it's happening in Nagoya and not one of the two big major cities within Japan, which are, Tokyo and Osaka. I mean, I know that Nagoya is supposed to be the third biggest city, but frankly, if you're not the top two, I don't think most people are actually counting anymore at that point. As it is, people are having issues trying to figure out if Nagoya is part of Western or Eastern according to consensus surveys within Japan. But yeah, even then, I've tried my best to dig into information about the event and so as to try and give you guys the most complete view that might be possible about it, in case for some reason you're in Nagoya when it happens and decide to give it a visit. So with Comic Live, it is something more akin to a Comic-Cat, except on a much smaller scale for Nagoya, in the sense that it is made up of a large number of series that can actually vary between each time this event is held. It is a little more difficult to figure out which series started it off. The best clue I can get to what series were there from the start would have been Handmade Courier, which I think is meant to refer to handmade creation, since it's a genre of handmade crafts and accessories for people interested in that, as well as Touhou, because yeah, of course it's Touhou, right? These are the two that seem to still be ongoing and that trace back the furthest. And even then, for these two groups, which are some of the longest running within Comic Live's history, they don't exactly attend every single Comic Live either. Like I checked back in 2019 as well, I think Touhou only attended maybe 3 out of 5 of all of the Comic Lives, and the same happened for the accessory one. And when it comes to the much smaller series as well, they sometimes just decide to attend one time, then hold a standalone event the next time, and then maybe a few Comic Lives later they come back and just rejoin it as well. So the numberings, they are more of a suggestion, a gesture towards how many times the specific series has held its thing, and there isn't really a good concrete way to actually figure out how many times the overarching event has been held as a result. The issue with Comic Live in general is the fact that they tend to update their website very frequently and end up deleting a lot of old information. Like, I can't actually scroll back to find any of the Comic Lives before 2018. And this event has been held 44 times till now, and some years it seems to be held like 4 times a year, and some years it's only twice. It's not exactly the most consistent event. Or if we take the average between 4 and 2, which is like, I don't know, 3 or something, it would be maybe 15, 14 years ago. And before you ask like, oh, shouldn't we give it like some level of leeway for the pandemic? Nah, hell no. Do you honestly believe these people stopped this event for the pandemic? Literally, I checked their website and like according to them, this event ran 5 times in 2021 and 2 times in 2022. The pandemic means nothing to these people. Like, in Tokyo, most events actually were just dead. The state of emergency just made sure that all events would vanish for 2 years, but in Nagoya, it seems they just ran fine throughout the pandemic. Although it does also seem like in recent years, particularly this year, the number of series that have been attending has been decreasing. And according to the information about this specific time that I went as well, they rented out a space which could fit 1,000 circles and only 273 actually attended. So whether this is a sign that the event is not doing as well as before, I mean, it probably is the case to some extent. And the way they mix up the series that attend the event does lead to it being a little more confusing as well as to what type of content you can expect to see there. It really does, in a sense, feel like a more comic cat-ish experience in that sense. And as you can see, that is in part the reason why I'm in my room talking about this event instead of outside where I usually want to do it, because I want the bigger space to present the stuff I bought there. Yeah, look, maybe I should have looked better into the list of series that will be attending the event and understood what other series would be actually there, because I looked at the list and I saw, oh, there's the Bombergirl that the viewer recommended to me to check out. There was Hololive, FGO, just like a lot of stuff. There was like, yeah, it should be fine. There should be a lot to see. But I forgot to do my due diligence and research the event beforehand, because if I did, I would have noticed the following line online on Pixel, which is like, it seems like this event tends to be popular among the ladies. I think more than half the stuff there ended up being BL. Like, I really should have checked it a little harder that, like, even though it said FGO can mean a lot of things since there's a lot of male characters in FGO as well. The same could be said for Yu-Gi-Oh! The same can be said for Kimetsu. Like, for all of this series, there is a relatively balanced gender in terms of the cast, and as a result, you can actually easily hold an event purely for BL or like Fujoshis in general, due to the fact that they only filled up, I think, a quarter of their total circle space count. They just turned the rest into a large cosplay area. But even then, while it didn't fill up the majority of the hall, that doesn't stop people at the event from having a good time. I would say one big difference between events held within Tokyo, or in the East at least, as compared to this event that I've been to in what is considerable West Japan so far, is that the vibes of the event are very different. Granted, they're all doujin events for fan-made stuff, and the interactions between you and the circles, that much doesn't change. But one other very big thing I noticed at this event was that it does feel like the people there were more friendly and communal. I know that sounds like a Western Japan stereotype where like the people, they tend to frown on the outside but they smile on the inside or something. Like, they tend to be friendlier in general. But at the same time, that really was the impression I got at this event. Like, compared to even something small like Ponycat within Tokyo, where people typically keep to themselves or talk to specifically circles. Like, you don't really get people interacting with each other aside from during activities, unless it's with the circles. But with this event, when I went there, I saw people just standing in large groups and chatting, and people like filing in and out and just joining in the group and just talking about like the series they like and like different stuff happening in anime and games. It was quite different, to say the least. Granted, I don't know any of these people, so they could all just belong to a very large pre-existing community, so they all know each other and that's why they're acting like this. But it certainly does give a different vibe to the event. when the people who are attending it, a large number of them, do seem to just hang around and chat and talk with each other as well. But yeah, aside from the fact that the people there just seemed to be a little friendlier, there wasn't really too much special about the event for me to talk about. The event runs the same as every other Doujin event. You have a bunch of tables, people sell their stuff. You have a lot of space between the tables, which might be a little more different from Comic Cat. It reminds me a little more of M3 with the amount of large space so that you can stand and browse and chat with the people, which is kind of a nice thing that they have since it does make the event feel more communal. But then again, it's hard to say if this would have been the case if the event had managed to pack the entire hall, and whether this was just them trying to make the event feel a little bigger instead of the fact that it only had enough circles to fill a quarter of its maximum amount. But yeah, if I had to point out something else, it would probably just be the fact that there was actually a segment for Bombergirl at this event as well. For some reason, I don't think I've ever seen this series getting much in terms of like Doujin event coverage within Tokyo. I did do a little more digging into it now, and I only now realized that this is like the 6th time that it has actually been held in the entirety of Japan, I think. Like, there were only a few holdings before, and apparently they'll be having another holding of the Bombergirl side of the event in a separate event that's happening within Tokyo next year, so I might give that a check out because, hey, what can I say, the character art is, it's quite something. Even though I don't really play the game all that much, the art is something to behold nonetheless. But yeah, that's all I have to really say about the history of the event as well as the way that it's held. There isn't really an after party like something like Pony Cat or Superhero in Time where they do the whole Shikishi thing. I don't think I even saw any Shikishis being like drawn and displayed there. So let's move on now to the part of the event, part of the video, where I talk about the stuff I found that was kind of interesting, I suppose, because the thing is that with an event like this far away from Tokyo, obviously the circles are going to be somewhat different, and to some extent you might see a little bit of different stuff. So here are some of the things I actually found that I thought was pretty cool. Among all of the BL circles, for some reason there was one original content creator who actually created their own card game. Like, it's a waifu card game with very anime-ish art, which yeah, I found it to be pretty cool. So I went there and like asked him about it, and apparently during these events he would go with sometimes a fresh, completely new one. Like, I think this one, as you can see at the top, it says that it's volume 3. And he actually released like 2 volumes prior to this, which are not available this time around, so you can get that good old trading card game FOMO as well. But yeah, aside from the cards themselves, he also released an art book for his card game series, which I found to be pretty cool. It's apparently been going on for 4 years. I did not know this was a thing. Although, to be fair, with an indie card game, especially one that's happening in Nagoya, Osaka region, it may not actually travel very far out to Tokyo, especially since it's a physical thing only. He actually gave me this as well, which apparently shows like the address of a location that they have booked exclusively for this card game, so they can go there to play it. And they also gave me a link to their Line group, which, for those of you who don't know what Line is, it's like the Telegram or WhatsApp, which is more popular within Japan and has its own like paid stamps, because unlike Telegram, where you can illegally put in images to get whatever stamp you want, you can't really do that with Line. But that said, unfortunately, none of them lived in Tokyo, so it's not exactly like I can play this with someone, since I only have 1 box. You're probably gonna need more than one since it's a TCG. That said, the card art is pretty fine, and the physical quality of the cards are also pretty good. Like, this quality of the cards might actually be on par with like what Bushiroad actually produces for some of their card games. And if you think that I'm just like taking the piss on Bushiroad or something, hey, I've played Weiss Schwartz since the start, okay? I've probably been playing their games longer than most people. And even in spite of that, I've played like many of the other card games like Luck and Logic, Dragon, Stillborn, and whatnot. And compared to all of those games, the quality of these cards are actually pretty solid. It's actually comparable, so for an indie project, I'm actually quite impressed. Next up, while there wasn't exactly a Shikishi giveaway at this event itself, for those of you who do not know what a Shikishi is, it's basically one of this. I did actually end up buying one because I am a very impulsive buyer in that way. As you can see, yes, it did cost 2,000 yen, which to be fair is relatively affordable. I am not that much of a VTuber person. In fact, I don't really watch any VTubers like streams actively either. The only like stream in general that I watch is of that one funny Swedish man, and that's about it. So not the most avid Hololive person, but I did watch Korone for a bit, and I do like her art and the eerie vibes with her good friend quite a lot. So this piece of art was really cute. Hololive gamers are quite cute, and yeah, it impulse buy, but I do appreciate it quite a lot. I'll probably like display this somewhere. I really need to find a better way to like put this up in my house. Like with tapestries, it's a lot easier because I can just hang them on the wall with a hook. But with these, I need to find a better way to either frame them up or to put them on the wall without damaging the wall as well. One thing I actually do regret not getting was what I think was a food guide doujin featuring Mokoko, the VTuber, which was apparently being sold by a circle there as well. I feel like it would have been a good way for me to also figure out some of the good places to eat within Nagoya in general. I bought a bunch of Bombergirl Doujins as well. These three are all by the same circle. I believe they're all safe for work, so it's actually quite fine with me just like showing them like this. I don't know, the art just felt really cute, and after seeing a lot of guys going at it with each other at the event, I really needed something to heal my soul, and this did that job quite fine. In terms of the contents of the doujin, it's largely just a comedy slice of life for coma thing, so nothing too unique, but the art as well as the fact that this is a series that I don't get to see much of, and the fact that the people who are running the circles for this events are Bombergirl series staff, as well as the people who are just attendees who were there, were quite friendly, did give me good vibes about the series. We'll have to see. The official art has got me quite interested. But yeah, last item, since I didn't really manage to buy too much, that, and it would seem like this video is already running pretty long according to just the recording time, so it might be a good time for me to end it off as well. I actually found this rather interesting handcrafted wooden board for a Bombergirl as well, so it actually looks like, yeah, ignore the price tag there, it's not cheap, I know. It was a bit of an impulse buy, but they created their own board which you could use to basically play a mini game of Bombergirl, I guess. The blocks that you can place within here, the one character from each class up here, as well as everything else. Like, it was pretty cool looking, and I figured, you know, since the quality actually looked really good as well, that I would just buy it as a very nice collection piece as well. But yeah, I'll put up some proper pictures of the board, or like some small clips of me recording the board itself, since I don't know how much of it is very obvious, since there's a lot of reflection from the computer if I were to do it here. But as you can see from this singular piece as well, the amount of quality, the fact that you can see the indents into the wood, the smoothing, I just really like the woodwork itself. Like, it's very smooth and satisfying to touch. Yeah, I guess that the girls in the game aren't the only things that look like they'll be very interesting to touch now, huh? Yeah, I'm sorry, that was a horrible joke, but I don't know how, or if there's any good way for me to frame this up. If you can think of anything, do let me know as well. But yeah, price-wise, kind of expensive. I mean, considering the fact that it's all handcrafted, I guess it's actually not too bad. But yeah, in terms of the stuff I really want to show off from this event, that's about it. Would I recommend going specifically for this event? Hell no, to be honest. Like, it's fun in its own way, but unless you're actually coincidentally in Nagoya at the time it is held, I wouldn't recommend going out of your way to do it. I mean, for me, I personally enjoyed it enough. Like, I felt like my trip there and back was worth it. But that's because of the fact that I'm only paying like for the Shinkansen ticket to go there and back, and I can really make the trip as a day trip without too much difficulty, so it didn't feel too bad. That, and I really do enjoy just exploring events like this in general, so getting to see an event in Western Japan and how different the vibes are is something that in and of itself gives it a fresh and enjoyable experience. But that said, this is not the kind of thing that I would do on a regular basis. I wouldn't recommend going there just for this, especially if you're traveling in from overseas, since you could find a maybe similar-ish experience within Tokyo. But if you happen to plan a trip where you coincidentally are in Nagoya at this point where the event is actually being held, yeah, go for it. It might be interesting. If you're a female lady person who's into the more Fujo BL side stuff as well, this event actually may not be too bad. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about the event. Thank you guys for watching to this point. I hope the video wasn't too long or draggy. If it was, do let me know. And I'll look into ways to like summarizing stuff or shortening stuff. In the future, I'll probably look to attending some other events in Osaka as well as the other prefectures as well. Although the issue with those is that I can't do those as consistently since it ain't cheap, even if you live within Japan, to constantly travel to other prefectures just to attend like events like this. So it would have to be during periods where I can take like a short vacation, go there, explore the region as well as go for the event, rather than like this Nagoya trip where I just literally took a day trip there for the event and came back at the end of the day. Somewhere at the very end around the Satan Man Day, I'll be releasing the next Kosoge video, hopefully, if I can get it all done in time. So for those of you who are waiting and looking for that for a while, the next one is coming soon. It is a little more difficult for me to talk about the game I'm planning to without talking about a bunch of games that are tied to it as well, so that one may be a long video. But yeah, if you're interested in those types of videos, the Kosoge ones or like just event videos in general, do feel free to like and subscribe. I do stuff about other events as well, so when it comes January, I'll probably talk about Comic Cat. And as I attend more other events, be it stuff like Wonderfest or whatnot in the future, I'll probably make a video on those as well. If you're interested in like just stuff about the game industry in Japan as well, I'm planning some videos for that, although those might end up coming out like January or later because I need some time to do some proper preparation for those videos, since the stuff that I talk about on those could tread on some toes that I probably don't want to be doing since I'm still working in the industry. So I need to plan those out properly, so it might come out then, though you might see some current event videos related to the game industry as well. So if you're interested in any of that, you can feel free to do the thing as well. Thank you to Ran Yakumo once again, but this time for the 3rd month of support. Frankly, it's really cool that you're willing to go this far, so much appreciated, my dude. And thank you to Paul the Wonder Cat for drawing the cute girl that was in the thumbnail this time. You can go check them out, although if you're under the age of 18, they do nsfw art at times, so viewer discretion is advised. That said, they were cool enough to let me use the image for the thumbnail as well, so thank you once again. Well, that said, I'll be heading off for now. You guys have a good day, take care, and bye-bye.